Hey Shark fans, it's Melinda Marsalis. Welcome to Heard It on the Shark. I'll be your show host, and Mississippi Hills National Heritage Area is your show sponsor. Heard It on the Shark is a weekly interview show that airs every Tuesday at 11 a.m. on the Shark 102.3 FM radio station based in Ripley, Mississippi. Then it's released as a podcast on all the major podcast platforms. You'll hear interviews with the movers and shakers in North Mississippi who are making things happen. I'll talk to entrepreneurs, leaders of business, medicine, education, and the people behind all the amazing things happening in North Mississippi. When people ask you, how did you know about that? You'll say, I heard it on the Shark. Heard It on the Shark is brought to you by the Mississippi Hills National Heritage Area. We want you to get out and discover the historic, cultural, natural, scenic, and recreational treasures of the Mississippi Hills that are right in your backyard. And of course, we want you to take the Shark 102.3 FM along for the ride. Musical credit belongs to Hill Country Blues guitar legend Gary Burnside and the late great Buddy Grisham, playing Long Way Home from their album Acoustic Brothers, which was recorded at Sun Bear Studio in Ripley, Mississippi. Hey Shark fans, it's Melinda with another episode of Heard It on the Shark. And today in Sun Bear Studio, I have with me Miss Casey Grist, who is with our Red Cross. Now, Casey, I never can remember what your title is. Tell it to me.
I'm the Executive Director for the North Mississippi chapter of the American Red Cross.
Thank you so much for coming over today.
Thank you.
You know, summer is ending. It's September, and it's National Preparedness Month. Tell me what that means to the Red Cross.
Everything about the Red Cross is that we try to prevent and alleviate human suffering during disasters. That often means the big disasters we think about in terms of tornadoes and hurricanes and those kinds of things, but it also means home fires. And as we the weather starts to cool off, we begin to think about folks who are using space heaters and fireplaces and those kinds of things. So we like to remind people this time of year in particular to be prepared. And one of those things that we do is we provide free smoke alarms to anyone who needs one. And we come in and we install them for you, and we do a little bit of fire safety training. But we also like to do that in a lot of different ways, not just with fires, but we like to go into churches and civic clubs and all sorts of organizations and talk about how do we get ready as businesses, as families, as organizations, how do we get ready for some of those disasters that come our way. We like to remind everybody that when you change your clock, that's a good time to change the batteries in your smoke alarm, or at the very least, test your smoke alarms. That means that twice a year you're giving them a good check and making sure that they actually work. Because what we know is that if a fire breaks out, you have about 2 minutes tops to get out of the house.
Oh, that's horrifying.
That is horrifying. And so to know that a working smoke alarm obviously is huge in making sure that you, if it's at night, that you wake up and that you're able to get out. But the other part of that preparedness is to honestly have a plan, a written plan with your family. When my children were small, their rooms are on the other end of the house from ours. And I used to think about, what if the fire's in between us? What if I can't get to them? And so we went over, very detailed plans of, if the fire is here, these are your windows. Go out your windows. And we had a meeting place across the street. And they're grown now, but they can still tell you, where do we meet? We meet at, the magnolia tree in front of Miss Vicky's house, and those kinds of things are so helpful. And we hope you never have to use them, but having a plan and knowing what you're going to do in those cases is so important.
How would a person listening to us today go about getting free smoke alarms from the Red Cross?
It's super easy. You call 1-800-RED-CROSS, and there's a menu of options to choose, and one of those things is, I need a free smoke alarm. And that number will be routed to us in our office, and we will dispatch a volunteer who will come out, make an appointment with you, come out and not only install however many smoke alarms is needed in your house, but also go over some of the safety measures with you. They actually will sit down with a little map and show you how to draw out a map of your house and explain the best ways out and, help you develop that plan.
Oh, that's awesome. A volunteer will come to your house and
Yes.
help you get ready.
Yep, absolutely.
1-800-RED CROSS.
That's correct.
Okay, so Casey, that just brings up to me a fact that I know you live with every day, and that is that we think of that Red Cross as big disaster relief.
That's right.
Hurricanes and tornadoes, the awful things. But like you said, all those little house fires and little things, it's little because it doesn't affect that many people at once, but
That's
who
right.
it affects immediately and disastrously.
That's correct.
And we need to know more what the Red Cross can do on a community level. So can you help us? I know that there's not a whole lot of, there's not like a Red Cross store you can go to in your town. So talk about how to get involved with the Red Cross on a community level.
Absolutely. One of the things that I think is unique about Red Cross and is absolutely humbling to me is that 90% of our workforce is volunteer. Now, what that means is when you call the 1-800-RED CROSS, the person who you speak with at that point is probably a paid person. Every person after that is a volunteer. The person that is acting as the dispatcher that answers those calls locally to send somebody out, that's a volunteer. The people who come and provide, give you a hug after that fire and say, do you have a safe place to stay tonight? Let us give you a small amount of funds so you can go and buy the necessities that you need for the first few days. The mental health and spiritual care counselors who are going to hold your hand and walk with you until you're back somewhere stable and either in your home or somewhere else, all volunteers. Now, in our 31 counties in North Mississippi, there is not a single county that we have enough volunteers on a regular basis. We don't send anyone out by themselves, so there always needs to be 2 people. Now, we're going to get there one way or another. If a fire happens in Ripley tonight, somebody's coming. It just may take a while if that person has to come from an hour away or 2 hours away or wherever we can get them. So we're really focusing right now on organizing in every community in North Mississippi to develop partnerships with churches, with civic clubs, with other organizations, with schools, and reaching out and getting folks trained to respond to disasters, both the big ones and the small ones. And there's just a lot of different ways people can be involved. But I would love to develop sort of an advisory board or an advisory council in every county that we are in so that we can kind of put those things together at the community level. Because let's face it, every person in a community knows their community better than somebody outside of the community. We all know that what church cooks food when there's a disaster. We all know what organization starts putting together clothes. We all know, but you know that in your community. And so what I'm asking is to know those people. I want to find who those people are that we can help put together in every community and put a little group together for Red Cross so that we can be present and we can be seen and we can help the folks there.
So if you're listening to this podcast today and you are interested in getting involved with the Red Cross in a small or a big way, how would you tell people to take the first step? What should they do?
If they'll just send me an email. My email address is KC, like Kansas City, kc.grist, GRIST, @redcross.org. And if you'll reach out to me via email, I promise you I will get back in touch. I'll come to your town. We'll go have a cup of coffee and sit and just brainstorm about what are the needs there and how can we make a difference.
Casey, that's great. So we need to spend the rest of September getting ourselves, our own homes and our own businesses, our own schools ready for colder weather because those house fires are going to happen.
That's
They
true.
do every year. So get ourselves ready for that. Call 1-800-RED Cross and look through the menu to find whatever service you might need. Have people come in and help.
Absolutely. Yes.
And then email you.
Email me if you have any other questions.
I love talking to you every time. I love what the Red Cross does. It's like a secret weapon we forget about till we need it.
Well, that's exactly right. And, you know, the scope of what all we do is just amazing. And so even if you're not sure if we do something or not, reach out. We'll let you know. We can point you in the right direction.
Casey, thank you again for driving over and talking to us today. I look forward. Come back anytime and update us on what's going on.
I absolutely will, Melinda. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure.
Okay, Shark fans, that's it for this edition of Heard It on the Shark. Tune in every Tuesday at 11 a.m. to find out what's going on from local community leaders. If you have a question, comment, or suggestion for an interview, or if you want access to this interview, go to our website, shark1023.com, and click on the podcast tab. Keep it tuned to the Shark 1023 and have a great rest of the day.
The Mississippi Hills National Heritage Area was established by the United States Congress in 2009 and represents a distinctive cultural landscape shaped by the dynamic intersection of Appalachian and Delta cultures. This intersection has produced a powerful concentration of nationally significant cultural icons, including King of Rock and Roll Elvis Presley, First Lady of Country Music Tammy Wynette, blues legend Howlin Wolf, civil rights icons Ida B. Wells-Barnett and James Meredith, America's favorite playwright Tennessee Williams, and Nobel-Laureate William Faulkner. The stories of the Mississippi Hills are many and powerful, from music and literature to Native American and African American heritage to the Civil War. The Mississippi Hills National Heritage Area supports the local institutions that preserve and share Northeast Mississippi's rich heritage. Begin your discovery of the historic, cultural, natural, scenic, and recreational treasures of our region by visiting the Mississippi Hills National Heritage Area online at mississipphills.org.
This show is made possible by JC Media, LLC in Ripley, Mississippi. JC Media owns the Shark 102.3 Classic Rock FM radio station where the show is hosted, and Sun Bear Recording Studio where the interviews are recorded. We need your feedback and support. If you listen to the podcast on a player like iTunes, Google Podcasts, or Amazon Music, please subscribe to the show and leave us a review. We also have an email in which you can share your feedback. That email is theshark1023@gmail.com. Subscribe to our podcast on your favorite app or stream episodes online at shark1023.com/podcasts. Today's episode was produced by Melinda Marsalis. It was edited by Rick Williams and engineered by Chris Marsalis. The podcast technician is Joyce Grady.